It ended up, we just sold the business last July for $150 million to
Wow,
USA Today,
congrats.
I'm kind of working on my next. Thanks, guys. My name's Larry Kim. I'm kind of known for starting a company called WordStream. It's the world's largest pay-per-click advertising software company, managing over $1 billion for tens of thousands of customers worldwide. So that was over 300 people, and started that company in my 20s, as a kind of a inbound marketing, consulting person, just doing SEO and pay-per-click advertising, and I didn't even have any co-founders. I was just working out of a bakery, just because it had free Wi-Fi and free Diet Coke refills, that kind of stuff,
Sounds perfect.
it was great. I was just signing up consulting clients and doing consulting services for different clients, using word of mouth as kind of my referral kind of lead source, the company grew and grew, and at one point it was, almost, as a sole proprietorship, I had like eight customers, spending around 8,000 a month or something like that. So it was like, in retainer fees, it was like almost like $60,000 or $70,000 a month in retainer fees for like a 20 something, so it was pretty big, and then I ended up writing software to automate the stupid repetitive tasks that I was doing, because my background's in electrical engineering, and then the light bulb went off, and I was like, why don't I just sell the software instead of selling the services, and so that was kind of how that started, and it ended up, we just sold the business last July for $150 million to
Wow,
USA Today,
congrats.
I'm kind of working on my next thing.
That's amazing. No, congratulations on that.
Pretty similar story to Ricky as SEO and working as a consultant.
Yeah, I guess we went in different paths a little bit, Larry, because I had a similar sort of start to you, had those sorts of clients in my 20s, and then thought I have more clients than I can manage myself, but I went the agency route, probably not done quite as probably didn't make the right choice at that time. I could have got software to do some of it, but I went down the agency route, and we've enjoyed what we've done, and obviously you've had huge success in what you've done. How did you find transitioning from services to software company? That's a big change.
Sure. I think it's harder than a lot of people realize, but you need to realize my background and training and prior work history was all in software engineering and software development. Like, this whole marketing thing was kind of something I discovered as a kind of a software product, developer. Um, in some ways, the marketing was, it's just like learning the marketing stuff was actually harder than the software stuff. So it's very different. Um, you're you're selling, instead of selling like a services package for like 8,000 a month, you're selling it for like, $200 a month, and so you this means you need a lot of customers. Like, you're building a train, and you need a lot of passengers on that train because the tickets are cheap. Just different go to market, different team members and that kind of stuff. I think services business is more of a operations game. So like, where you need to be really efficient at like hiring and making your employees like really well trained to manage dozens of accounts. It's more of a
Yeah.
kind of a operating margins game, like, in a where I think product, it's there's a little other more vectors, like there's innovation and, like, the quality of the product, and the growth hacks that you use to get millions of people to use the product. So it's
Yeah.
just a little different. Yeah.
No, for sure. And then you've sold WordStream, and now you're doing it again. What how did you have the motivation to have a successful exit like you've had, and then think, I'm going to do this all over again with another company?
It's like, you know, I'm too young to retire here, and I just uh, I feel like I learned a lot in this journey, in terms of learning how to, I don't know, recruit a team, or to how to develop and bring to market you know marketing software and all this stuff. And so the kind of the dream is like, if I could do this, an even bigger company in half the time,
Yeah,
like,
it's a challenge.
it's just like an internal motivation to see if that's possible. Like, uh, it's just something to do. Like, why do you do what you do? Like,
Yeah.
there's got to
No,
be a
it's
reason. Um,
Yeah, we've been chatting about that recently in terms of like just planning for the company and stuff. And we've been talking about what things to aim for, and one of the criteria of whatever we're doing is just to keep enjoying it.
yeah.
And if you're not enjoying it, then what's the
Why?
point?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the big.
So I'm motivated by three things. One is, it's cool to make tons of money, so that's
Yeah. So that was a good number one. Yeah.
it doesn't hurt. Okay, I mean, it's better than than being like not making anything, right?
Not. Yeah. No, 100%.
But I'm also motivated by other factors. One of them is just creating jobs, for and opportunities for others. So one thing I'm really proud of is WordStream actually employed, over its 10-year life cycle, that I was involved in the company, over 1,000 people, mostly millennials, and giving a lot of people a lot of great training, and hiring people, basically out of college, to give them their first or second job out of college, and these people are now executives at like Facebook and Google, and
Amazing.
like, so I feel like I've helped out there a little bit, and also, um, it's kind of cool if to have something that the companies use. So uh, I think you want to have something that's useful, and it's kind of cool. Um,
So in your intro, Larry, you ended your intro, like your backstory, with where you're heading now. So you talked about you were working out the back of a bakery with free Wi-Fi. Where are you now, like literally, logistically? What's your setup? What's your day-to-day working
So
environment?
the bakeries of 2019 are these WeWorks, like these shared office things. Like, they didn't exist a decade ago. So basically, I'm renting out a place for, myself and a couple dozen, employees, and it's pretty cheap, and very flexible.
Are you all together, or are you scattered remotely?
A little bit of both, but most of the company, like more than 50%, is co-located here in Boston.
Awesome.
Cool.
Wow. You mentioned when you're going WordStream, you've done it with a lot of college grads and millennials and stuff. I guess a lot of people in marketing the first few employees tend to be those sorts of people. We've obviously been there and we do that ourselves. What sort of challenges did you find building a workforce that's particularly young? And what did you learn from that?
It's a challenge. So when you're early on, you don't really have anything. So, and the people who are good typically aren't just sitting on their hands. They
No.
probably are working on some other job or some other opportunity. And so the challenge is to, like, how do you get really good quality people to kind of leave whatever it is they're previously doing and join you on this new adventure? Because it's not fully baked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I have found is, kind of one of the key, um, uh, you know, things you need to do as a founder, or as an early employee executive, um, is to kind of be very intentional about projecting a very exciting and bold vision of where you're going. So it's less about what you've done and what you've achieved, and more about kind of how you can this new person can be an integral part of bringing this new transformative vision to market. And realistically, most people will say you're crazy, and this is not for me. And I think I'd prefer to get paid a lot of money using it at this other company. But that's okay, because it's kind of like a filter, right? So like by projecting the vision, what you're doing is you're filtering out the people who are incapable of kind of realizing that vision. So the 1% of people who do, you say, like, sign me up, like that's the only person who can actually do it. You know what I mean? Or they're crazy. So one or the other.
No, I love that. That's really good. Before we get on to what you're working on now, from a marketing perspective, why do you think WordStream was so popular? Like you say, at $200 a pop, you have to get a lot of people on that train. How did you get a lot of people on the train? What were the things you did right with WordStream?
So, a lot of marketing, like just content marketing. Early on, I figured out that, blogging about how to do pay-per-click advertising, how to do Facebook advertising, how to do growth marketing, stuff like this was there's a big appetite for that. And because my background is in more kind of technical, software kind of background, that I felt that I had a unique perspective on marketing. It was more of a systems engineering perspective. So like I would write articles on like, reverse engineering the quality score algorithm for Google AdWords based on analysis of like $1 billion, 100,000 accounts or something like this. So we were able to then, using kind of the data that we had and some analysis skills that I have to produce some unique insights into how this stuff works, like SEO and how AdWords and Facebook ad auction, like how do these kind of black boxes actually work. And that was really well received by the marketing community, like because not a lot of people have access to that kind of those types of insights, and those who do tend to not want to keep it to themselves. So that was your question, was like, how did you get so many people using the software? I would say it was just content marketing, and specifically producing kind of this unusual data-backed surveys and the studies that were unique, and that plus just doing it for a good amount of time.
Yeah, always helps.
Today there's I have a decent following and a pretty strong email list, and so it's now self-sustaining. But those are some of the things that I did to kind of I don't know, get noticed early on. If that makes any sense.
One thing that you've done, and a few successful software companies have done, is you've been the sort of evangelist and kind of front face of the company as well. You've got out there a lot, and I've seen you speak at Inbound and other events, and you blog on a lot of popular platforms. So you yourself have kind of gone out there and built that. Do you think that was an important part of getting WordStream out there, having you as a sort of a face or a focal point of the company as well?
It helps. I don't think it's a requirement, because there's plenty of big brands like Coca-Cola or whatever, where it's they don't have necessarily have a front man,
No.
But I think it's sort of a growth hack for when you're getting started, can I give you an example? So Neil Patel, a colleague of mine, he used his personal brand to kind of bootstrap his agency, but today it's gotten so big that he's kind of rebranding it as NP Digital. You see what I'm saying? Because it's he's thinking wait a minute, I need this to be bigger than one individual's personal brand. I think I didn't call it like Larry's software company. Like
No.
it had its own, it had its own identity and brand and core values. And uh, but but uh, but then again, when it comes to like social media and blogging, like people prefer content from individuals rather than from like a corporate entity. Um, so I can see how they're both helpful.
Yeah, definitely. No, I like that approach. It's a good sort of similar to kind of what Rand's done. We did, sorry, with Moz as well. He sort of that was a bit of both really. He was a sort of front man, and he obviously got in front of a lot of people and talks at a lot of events like you've done. But the company itself kind of out kept growing beyond that one man sort of thing as well. And it has its own core values and ethos and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Kind of my doppelganger in the SEO space.
Yeah,
Yeah, like we both like started, software companies. We both do a lot of content marketing. His focus is obviously SEO, and mine was more on paid channels. Uh, yeah, so yeah, that's kind of cool.
yeah. No, it seems like a model that certainly works.
It made me, while you were chatting there, it made me think about something else we wanted to chat about, which was Medium and content on there. That you've got quite 190,000 followers. We were just looking on Medium.
So I'm actually the eighth most popular uh, blogger on Medium, and I can tell you how I did that. It was first mover advantage. So when the thing came out, 5-6 years ago, I just thought, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. Um, uh, and I really committed to that channel. Okay. Like I was like, I was blogging there every day, and I still do. Okay. And early on, when a platform is starting out, they actually, they need help. They need help with getting people to follow people. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So like, because I was early, they would feature me on lists of people saying like, if you're, I say, Ricky, I saw you're interested in entrepreneurship. Here's someone to follow in
yeah,
entrepreneurship. So I kind of figured out how those algorithms worked in terms of their recommended authors to follow, and it was pretty simple. It was just like including certain tags and just making sure that you have a top post like once a week and stuff like this. So it was pretty simple to reverse engineer, and I would say 80% of the followers I just got out of that one growth hack of just kind of getting placed on these kind of follow lists, and now that I've obtained those followers, anything I publish, it gets a good amount of engagement and views. So it's kind of like self-sustaining at this point.
So
It's similar to like if you have a blog that has a lot of email subscribers, like then every new blog post will do fine because it has an audience. So like I kind of bootstrap the audience by hacking the recommended authors kind of algorithm. So I don't claim to be the greatest writer in the world, but I am the eighth most popular, like
just the eighth best.
on Medium, just as a result of some simple observations on how that platform works.
no, I like that.
So was that how early would you say that was a deliberate decision to okay, I can manipulate this algorithm and take advantage of it, or was it I just need an outlet and I just like the platform?
Manipulation feels like a negative word. It was more just observing how it works and being able to kind of do the things that it was looking for. So yeah, I went all in on it about 5 years ago, and it still generates millions of views, like every month for me. So it's pretty great.
What was it about Medium that made you think I'm going all in on this, or is there other versions of Medium that you've gone all in on and it's not really gone anywhere? Like that seems like a good decision now, like to go all in on Medium.
Google Plus.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like
Yeah,
no, it was plausible. It was kind of like the opposite of Twitter.
yeah,
instead of a short form post, it was a long form post. And
Mm.
it was the same founder, Ev Williams and all that stuff. So it seemed plausible, and it was working. So I just doubled down on it. I have this theory of the donkeys and the unicorns, and basically what it means is you should spend more time on the unicorns, and you should get rid of the donkeys. And that's just a metaphor, of course. I have nothing against donkeys in real life. Like, I'm sure they're wonderful animals, but just saying, like you examine like what's the output, the value from these different channels, and you should get the ones that are dying and double down or put more effort on the ones that are working. And so I just had that kind of a unique advantage in Medium, so we just continue to invest there, and I would say it's every influential marketer, either intentionally or by luck, has cracked the code on one or more distribution channels. So like, Rand, we were talking about earlier, like he really nailed YouTube like that. I would kind of say that's like, whether he knew it or not, that was like a key part of building the brand that he has. For me, it's more like Twitter and Medium. So.
Awesome.
Where else? What about you when it comes to you consuming content? Where are you? Where do you go to when it's time to learn?
I read very little. It's like I produce content, but I don't read it. I don't read stuff. It just it messes me up. So I'm a contrarian. So like, like if I consume too much media and content, then I get very biased by conventional wisdom. So my whole thing is like, gotta ideate something different, because if someone's blogging about how to do a certain marketing tactic, well then the cat's out of the bag. Like it's too late at that point. Like it has to be something else, right?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
definitely. So we had a chat about kind of you and your background and where you've been. Do you want to have a chat about what you're working on now, and what drove you into? Well, do you want to explain what you're working on now, and then we'll have a chat about what kind of drove you down that avenue a bit.
Awesome. So we started a new business called Mobile Monkey, and it's the world's fastest growing Facebook Messenger marketing platform. The reason why I think this is really interesting is I think it's the greatest opportunity in marketing for the next decade, messaging. So just like how email marketing was so fundamental, in transforming marketing communications over the last 20 years, I think chat marketing is sort of the next thing. And some people think, oh, well, I don't know, like I don't want to have, marketing messages on my chat screens. But people, believe it or not, if you go back 20 years, people felt the same way about email marketing, back in the 90s and early 2000s. So I think it's really exciting, and it's a way of creating more engaging content, and with 80% open rates and 20% click rates, which is kind of unheard of in terms of.
You're not getting that on email anymore, are you?
Or any other marketing channel.
No.
Like if you think of like ads or paid or organic social media, like there's just nothing that comes even close. And so, I just think this is where I want to focus my attention on. I think there's an opportunity to build a $1 billion platform here. So like when I mentioned like I was hoping to do something bigger than WordStream, I mean, the challenge is like there's only like 6 million advertisers, in the world. But like a solution like chat marketing, I think could apply to hundreds of millions of businesses.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a bigger total addressable market. I think that it's a fantastic medium for businesses to be messaging people on sort of the platforms where users are most familiar, most comfortable communicating. The business is growing like crazy. We've got hundreds of millions of monthly active users, and just try it out. It's mobilemonkey.com. It's kind of like HubSpot, but using chat rather than chat rather than email. So like, how on HubSpot you've got like landing pages to collect emails. Well, I have landing pages that collect chat messaging permissions. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And you know how they have an email blaster? Well, I have a chat blaster. And you know how they have like email drip campaigns? Well, I have chat drip campaigns, like where we can send sequences of messages, and how they can create audiences. We can create custom audiences based on conversational criteria, and then we can upload those to Facebook ads, or do other crazy things. So it's kind of I would say, emerging field. There's probably 1% of businesses doing chat marketing today, but I suspect if I'm right, my thesis is that 30, 40, 50% of businesses are going to be doing this in the next 10 years. So.
Well, it's a huge opportunity, isn't it?
1%. So you're ahead of the curve if you get on board with that 1% quickly. Then.
So just like at any marketing channel, it's never going to be this easy to buy or to organically generate lists of opt-ins. And the engagement rates are they're not likely to go any higher than they are right now. There's a, I guess you could, I believe my entire career, like for the growth of WordStream, is just based on first mover advantage, like finding and identifying promising marketing channels, and just investing in them early. You don't want to be the poor schmuck who just discovers social media marketing today in 2019. It's like, well, good luck.
Yeah. That's an uphill battle, isn't it? Yeah, for sure. So,
Be something new.
yeah, and like you say, it's such a huge opportunity for potential users and companies, isn't it? That your competitors are unlikely to be on there. So, like you say, your engagement rates and open rates are going to be probably that high for quite a few years still, isn't it? Obviously, in 10 years' time, if you're still getting 80%, you're doing well. But if you're moving now, that's a huge advantage of your competitors who are probably not going to be doing this for a few years.
Yeah, these things last for a decade or so. Like, so Instagram has been around for a while, and the organic engagement rate is still actually pretty
Yeah.
decent. As is with YouTube, but uh, you know, like email, believe it or not, once had like 30, 40% open rates. Now it's like 3 or 4%. So like they're I think now is the time to be investing in messaging, and we're definitely seeing that, like in our business growth metrics, like the growth is pretty astronomical, like in terms of the month over month growth.
What do you think's held companies back from investing in it and trying it and pushing it as a marketing channel?
I don't think it's hard, but it's different, and you know, I mean, I just give you a kind of a personal example. Like, I know that I should be eating better and going to the gym more, but it's just like, it just takes time and effort, and like anything. So like chat marketing, it's like one of these things like vegetables. Like, you should do it. It's going to be good for you. But like not everyone wants to do that yet. So I don't know.
Well,
The other thing is like you it's hard for like when you get older, it's harder to learn new things. So like there's a lot of social media influencers in the space. Like you would be surprised. It's like none of them are leveraging this new technology. Like it's actually a new crop of future influential people that are jumping on this, as opposed to the kind of the pre-existing brand names in the space. So it's just like a new generation thing. I don't know. Who knows?
you think could it be because the older tactics aren't exhausted enough yet? Things aren't broken enough?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they have like vested interest in the status quo. Like they've written a book on how to do, social media marketing and how to post stuff to your wall. That even, like it just you need it's just a new perspective on these technologies. Maybe I don't know. So like
Well,
my view is like this is the greatest thing ever. Like you can target the same people that you're trying to target through ads or through your news feed. Okay. But you can get them at like 80% open rates and 20% click rates. So like for free. It kind of I don't fully understand what the hang up is, but maybe it could be that it's hard to use, in which case, like that's why we're building software tools, and we're going to make it like super easy and productive. It is super easy and productive actually.
yeah, I guess whenever I've chatted with prospects or people around messaging and conversational marketing, I think the perception is it's going to be really hard and it's going to be really techy. I guess it's like anything new, isn't it? This is new, this is techy, I can't do it. But obviously tools like what you guys created, it's no harder than anything else, really, is it? It's just having that time investment to open an account, have a play with it, read a couple of how-to videos or whatever it is, and just have a go. But I guess that's the barrier I hear is it's got a perception of it's going to be hard or it's going to be for young people who know about technology or whatever it is. I think it's more of a perception thing.
I don't know. I think SEO is hard.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I suppose as well with our clients, some of the ones I've spoken to or prospects, you've overcome the battle of getting into inbound and content marketing and email marketing, to then chuck in another hurdle to try and get your head around.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll start with the things we know we could be improved on, like email open rates of 3 or 4%. Well, the client understands what that is. They get what email marketing is, so it's a bit more tangible, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, like I say, they're so used, because the space hasn't changed a lot really. If you look at the tactics most people are using, it's blogging and it's social and it's email. That's not changed for a long time really, and to get something that's completely new into it can be tricky for a client to get their head around, or an in-house marketer's got to go and sell that up to management or whatever, and that they can be tricky. But what I think the thing that excites us about messaging and conversational marketing is actually the tactics change, but the sort of core strategy doesn't. At the end of the day, we're still going to be content led, and you can still do your premium pieces or whatever it is, but it's just your method of how you're delivering to people, isn't it? Instead of having a landing page with a form on, you're going to be invited into a chatbot where it asks your email address, or it doesn't even ask for your email address, and it delivers the content to it. When you send out an e-blast, you're doing it as a blast on social media. It's like, actually the strategy, the big top line strategy is not changing. It's the medium, it's the channels, it's the technology that's changing. And is that how you're explaining it and selling it into people? Is like,
more or less. I mean, it's chat is a combination of a web page and email. Okay, so like, it's kind of like email in that you can do push, like you can initiate a blast to a distribution list. But unlike email, the user can also initiate a session. You follow? So the user can go to your website and start chatting with you, and in which case a robot can kind of respond to those questions. So depending on who's initiating the session, chat marketing is either like a website, where it's kind of providing the user information, or it's like an email campaign where you're firing off a lot of information to your subscribers. So maybe that's a little bit hard for some people to wrap their head around. I don't think it's that hard, but it's kind of like a website plus email, all in one channel.
Yeah.
What I quite like about what you're doing as well is focusing on the Facebook side of things, and there's a lot of people moving in the messaging space and the chatbot space. There's a lot of people, and they're all making slightly different moves from a software perspective. And what I really like about what you're doing is just saying like, like you said in the intro, we're the fastest growing Facebook messaging. And why was it that you chose the Facebook sort of messaging technology to kind of piggyback it on? What was it about that?
They have really good APIs compared to Google and Apple. Like they're just further along in terms of the support for third party companies like myself. It's definitely the goal is to support other messaging platforms like in the future, kind of like how on Hootsuite you can post content to LinkedIn or Twitter or to Facebook. So we do want to support posting and responding to content, irregardless of which messaging channel is being used. But every platform starts as a point solution, and like WordStream supports Facebook, Google, Bing, but it started out as a point solution for AdWords, and I expect a similar trajectory for this company.
No, that makes sense. So our listeners are mainly in-house marketers. If they were thinking, right, this messaging thing sounds good, I'm going to get started. Where's the best place to start? Where's the easiest place to start, or the quickest win? What would be the first thing you'd done if someone had never done any messaging marketing before?
I would do a chat blast. So I would just, or it's also known as a messenger broadcast. So I would use Mobile Monkey, and I would just, sign up for the thing. If you have an existing Facebook page, then you probably have subscribers. Okay, so a subscriber in Messenger is somebody who's messaged your page in the past. Okay, so Mobile Monkey will import those contacts, that contact list, and the first thing you should just do is just send them some kind of a news, like here's a new blog post or here's a webinar. Just send them something and just let them look at the engagement rate that it generates. Okay, make it fun and include GIFs and emojis and stuff like this. But that's sort of the first step, and then once you see the value there, then you'll say like, wait a minute, this is really great. I need more contacts.
Yeah.
And then there's like we have tools for building out your contact list. So like the subscriber list, like landing pages where if someone clicks on a button, they become a subscriber. So it's just different tools to really dramatically grow your subscriber list. Guys, I get more business through chat marketing than I do through my website. So I think that's
huge.
That's the tagline.
Well, I mean, maybe where I'm maybe I'm kind of an edge case because we also happen to be selling chat marketing products. So it's kind of meta, but in China, I can tell you that all the commerce and stuff is done through chat. It's not done on like news feeds or browsers. No, it's all WeChat. So I don't know if that'll happen in the West, but I definitely think that model of finding information and communicating with your brands and ordering things through messaging as opposed to always using a browser or an app is definitely viable.
Yeah, what I really like about that tip of how to get started is people are already going to have a base level of subscribe. Like you say, everyone's got a Facebook page. They'll have messaged people in the past. When you can go and send a broadcast out like today, and you're going to have a list to start from. Whereas if they're looking and thinking, I don't know, should I start on Instagram today? Like you're going to be starting zero. You've got to build that follower list completely from scratch. Like that's a much harder, slower job to do. Really, and here you can kind of there's not many marketing
with chat like people. Like like especially you guys are an agency, like so you should be doing this because you want your clients to think that you're like on the latest marketing technologies and stuff like this. So
exactly. No, you're right, and I think that's a big part of it. And a lot of people are in the business where they need to be on the forefront. If they're software companies or whatever it is that their customers like to know, they're on the latest with a lot of things. And we've got a lot of clients who are in completely random and weird industries, but they still need to be at the forefront or perceived to be at the forefront anyway. And I guess using things like this that not many people are is a good way to get that perception through.
Get doubly ahead as well in a lot of cases.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If inbound and emails already putting them half a step ahead of their competition,
Yeah.
think how far ahead you could be if you were doing this. That's what kind of the message to take away, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I like that. And before we wrap up, Larry, is there anything we should have asked you about Mobile Monkey or messaging that we haven't asked that we really should have asked? Like, and just making sure we're not missing any tricks here.
So we have this Mobile Monkey group on Facebook. It's called Mobile Monkey Island. And it's, it's just like kind of a hangout for tens of thousands of marketers that are doing chat marketing. Mobile Monkey Island, check it out. And you can, it's a free product. So you just go to mobilemonkey.com and use the thing for free.
Awesome. No, we'll link that up under the podcast. Thanks for that, Larry. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Really appreciate your time. Can't wait to jump in and start playing with this ourselves. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, and congrats on the huge success of your business. All right.
No, you too, Larry. Enjoy. Thank you very much. Speak soon.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice one.